Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Welcome back, good people, to In the Trenches with Dr. Tammy. Let me just say this to you. I am finally feeling more like myself. And I'm excited about that because when I am a better version of me, I can be prepared to help you in the ways in which you need. So thank goodness for that. Or let me say it the way I feel it. Thank God for that. So I'm back. Got a little poof going on today. Feeling myself. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But I need to say this as we get started. This episode is for the men and the women who love them. Or shall I say, the women who are trying to love them, because in many instances, it can be difficult. So I'm going to talk a bit about something that I have been chatting with folks about. And I recently watched a documentary as well as a popular podcast in which they spoke about this. And they spoke in general about men, but more specifically, they also spoke about Black men. So I took a few notes because I didn't want to leave anything out or leave anything to chance. So if you see me flip a card or look down, that's because I want to make sure that I give you every single thing that I took away from what I have learned, what I have experienced, and then I want to share with you because I think that we often forget to think about our men. In fact, not just do I think that, I know that in so many instances, people tend to forget about the men in their lives and what they need. So today we're going to focus a lot about men and their emotions and their feelings, okay? So one of the very first things that we want to talk about is the approach that we take with our men and what we want our men to know. We need our men to know this, that it is okay, it is perfectly okay to drop your guard, to open your heart, because here's what has happened and what we often forget. Many men, not all men, now mind you, I'm going to do my best not to generalize, in this message. However, when I say men, please know I'm speaking in terms of many men or a lot of men, okay? So men have been conditioned to guard their hearts or to put up a facade so that we don't know how they feel oftentimes. Men are taught to show the toughness in them as opposed to a softer side. For example, one of the things that they likened it to was the men, instead of showing his woman the Bruce Wayne in himself, he leads with the Batman, because the assumption is that at all times, women want and need you to be that toughness, the protector. And while they do want you to protect them, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be hardcore every single day with every single move that you make. So as they went on to speak about this part kind of took me aback for a second, because what he said was, many men will choose not to marry the person who they know is right for them because they know that once they enter that marriage, they have to show them all of themselves. And their feelings for this woman interfere with their ability to show them, because they are afraid. This is what tickled me a little bit. They are afraid that that woman will love them less if they show them their true selves. Their emotions are getting in the way, but not in a way that you think. They're not necessarily running because they fear love. What they fear the most is allowing every fallacy that they have internally to present itself to that person, to the person who they know they really want to spend their lives with. But the fear of showing everything runs them in the other direction. That right there made me pause for a second, because so many times when we think about the men in our lives, the men who we love, and we think automatically there's a fear of committing to us. But when it was put into that perspective as it's a fear of showing raw emotion, being able to expose their inner selves, being able to say to you, hey, there is some fear in me. Not that I am afraid of you, but there are things that I am afraid of and how I may react. For example, with everything going on in this world right now, a man needs to be able to come home and say to you, hey, I had a rough day today. Or when I'm out and about, I see certain things, or I see a police officer was behind me today and it made me nervous. And he needs to be able to understand that when you share that with him, that experience, that is, that moment in which he's telling you his feelings, that you won't look at him any differently. You will still see him as the strong protector that he is for you. But you will be able to create a safe space for him to be open about every single thing that he feels and what he's going through. Because remember, they're fighting enough as it is outside of the home. But when they come home, it is important that we create a space for them that's safe, open, and that he knows that you're right there with him through it all. So here are some of the things that they have been taught. They have been taught often. And again, remember, when I use words like they and men, I don't mean all. I'm simply saying these are the types of things that many men have been taught. And that is that he should always be strong. He should never show his sensitive side. They hear things like, suck it up, don't cry. Big boys don't cry. Never show your feelings. Never let them see you sweat. Those kinds of things are instilled in many of our men. But what happens is they spend their entire lives walking in that space, in a space in which they have been taught there is a specific way that he should always look and he should always carry himself. And then that is brought into a relationship. It is brought into a marriage. And then there are times in which there is a disconnect because we are trying to get you to open up. But here's what's happening. Ladies, don't get mad at me because sometimes we fail our men. I just got to say it. Sometimes we fail them because we don't allow them that opportunity to be open and free with us. Because what I have seen, and when I've spoken with many of us, the moment he is open and sharing, because I've been guilty of it before myself, we will turn that thing around and make it be about us. Guess what? In that moment, it's not about us. It's about him. It is about him. We need to be able to listen. We need to be able to be open. We need to hear and receive what he's presenting to us. Because again, remember, the space between the two of us should be a safe space that we're creating for each other. But in this episode today, we got to look out for our men. We have got to do a bit better job of it, because who else is going to hold them up the way we expect to be held up and supported and loved? Shouldn't we be doing the same? And men, the woman for you will do that for you. She is going to create you a very safe space. Now, mind you, it may take some work, because remember, you don't enter a relationship automatically knowing exactly what works in communication style for your person, or exactly what makes him feel unheard. So I need you to know this. Give it a moment. Give it some time for you all to work through it, to process how it works best for the two of you when you're communicating. But importantly, do not run immediately. Take the time to allow her to create that space for you. Because again, we have to learn what that looks like. We have to learn what it looks like when you come home and you're frustrated about something. We need to also learn that there are times that you do want to vent, but you also want our opinion. So in those moments, we need to wait, listen to understand, receive what you're saying, and then ask, would you like my input? Because there are times when our men, they just want us to listen. They want to be heard. They don't need us to say anything except for be there, maybe give them a hug, rub their back, whatever the case may be. But then there are times in which he is going to want and need for you to speak life into him, to be present, not just in the moment, but for every moment. And that's what we need to do. And ladies, I know you're going to be mad at Dr. Tammy after this, but guess what? I spend so much time talking about what men should do for us. This is a two-way street. It is a two-way street, and how we need to stand there for them. We need to believe in them. We need to let them know that we believe in them. It should be seen not just in our words, but also in our actions. Because this is when our men become more comfortable with us and being open with us. They need to know that they're not going to be faced with judgment, with ridicule, with more despair, because all of that is already outside. So for the men, this is what I have to say to you. Do not allow the things that you don't have to get in the way of you going after the woman who you know is right for you, because you feel it not just in your spirit, but because when you spend time with her, you know it. You have things in common that are important for the relationship. Now, I'm not saying, men, and let me be clear, I am not saying that the two of you need to be identical in every single thought process that you have. But like with you, does she bring added value to your life? Is there something about her that makes you pause and know she's the one right there? Because she's a diamond in the rough. There's so many women out there that way. But when you're with her and when you're around her, there's a connection that only the two of you need to understand. Be clear about that. And remember this, if you don't already have it together, so what? All the way together. We have men who think they need to have the house already. They need to have 2 cars, the picket fence, and all of these things, the finances in order. If you've got that, great. But this is the one thing that as I was listening to this gentleman speak, he said this. When he met his wife, now he's been married 26 years, this gentleman that I'm speaking of. When he met his wife, he didn't have it together. He wasn't even close to having it together. His wife, she had it more together than him. But the agreement was, and y'all have heard me say this before, the two of them would get it together. Let me repeat it so you can process it. The two of them would get it together. So both of them are going to work on getting it all together. One didn't have to be more together than the other. However, they decided that where they were is where they would begin and build from there. So men, do not allow your current situation to deter you from going after the woman that you know in your heart of hearts is the one for you. For you, that is, not from. For you. Don't worry about the rest of the stuff. Because the one for you will understand where you're going, where you're headed. And as you've heard me say before, she will help you get to the money if the money is what concerns you. But do not allow what you perceive as a lack of having things interfere with exactly the desires of your heart. Now, you can have whatever you want to have. That's great. That's great. That's great. I said it a moment ago. But I need women and the men in their lives to understand that provision isn't all about money. Not even close. Because if you're providing for someone, it comes in many forms. The small things, the things that she needs. That's where provision lies. And women, we need to get better at understanding that provision is not only about the money. It is not. Let me tell you, as I continued to listen to this gentleman, he said, even though I did not have it together, I was still the head of that household, the provider. He said this, it was Christ and then my wife. I was going to lead because what I provided for her was much more valuable than the money that we didn't have at the moment. Because mind you, they have now been married for 26 years and the money came. But she believed enough in what he brought with him internally, not material things, but internally and in his character, that they were able to continue to build an amazing life together. Now, I know some of you are saying, now, Dr. Tammy, I don't have 26 years because I'm already 40 or 50 years old. I understand that. But it doesn't change the fact that we need to create an opportunity for the men in our lives to be open and honest with us, and for us to either accept them for who they are or let that man go on and be with the woman who can accept him and love him the way he needs to be loved. I know, ladies, you mad, but that's okay. Because here's the thing. We hear people tell women that all of the time. Well, if he can't love you for who you are, then you should go on. We hear it all the time. What I'm saying to you is this. This is not a tit for tat. What I am saying is, don't you need to remember that men also desire to be loved and cared for? And if we take that approach, we would provide the environment for them to prosper in. And I don't mean financially. If that comes, that's great. But prosper emotionally, to be able to be the true forms of themselves, to be that best friend that you say that you want. Because you can talk about everything. There is absolutely nothing off limits. That the two of you build a connection and bond so strong that there is absolutely nothing that can interfere with that. So I say to the men, when you desire that love, because so many of you tell me that you do. So many of you come to me and say, I want to be in a committed relationship. I want to be married again. Then I have some men who say, I am 50-50 on the fence of wanting to be married. And let me tell you why they say that. They say that because that safe space has not been created for them. They have not experienced an opportunity in which they can be true and love you with their whole hearts. What has happened to so many of our men is that they've been hurt, just like you have, sis. They've been hurt. But the difference here is there's some additional fear in trying it again. Okay? They have learned that didn't feel good. And I'm not sure if I want to do that again, despite the fact that everything inside of them is screaming they want to be in love. And men, before you get all upset and say, oh, Dr. Tammy is making us sound softer than we should be, let me be clear. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you having a soft side that you share with your person. That is where the love comes in. That is where you can be honest and your relationship can be so much more beautiful than you ever really thought. You can be whatever you want to be. Strong and manly man, as so many people want to say when you're outside of the house. But when you come home, don't you want to be able to be just you? Not Superman, not this hero of all heroes for the world, but don't you want to be able to just be you? And your partner should create that space for you. So, truthfully, What I ain't saying to you, don't allow some of the upbringing that many of you have had that I spoke of earlier. Big boys don't cry, wipe your tears, get up and do it again. You're not hurt. Those types of things to interfere with what you want. Don't allow those things to continue to hold you captive, because that's what has happened. So many men are still walking in that space of what they have learned, not just in their upbringing, but also what society is telling them they have to be. This man who can never, ever show emotions at any time. Again, inside your home, that's your space. With your person, that's your space. Be open, be honest, be vulnerable. Allow yourself, this one right here, as I thought about it more, allow yourself to process what you feel. That's okay. That's okay. Allow yourself, once you've processed it, to share it. And she should receive it. Don't allow past traumas to interfere with what you want, with the desires of your heart. Because make no mistake about it, ladies, the men have spoken and they have shared with me that they too desire love. They too want committed relationships. But the way they are received at times when they try to open up to us and when they try to be honest with us, they're judged. And guess what that does? It allows them to feel the need to place that wall up again. That's not what we want. Create a safe space for them. Allow them to be the man that you keep telling me and the rest of the world that you want and that you desire. Don't allow the world to get in your way. Don't allow others around you to tell you how you should feel. Ladies, remember, open, safe space. Men, remember, it is perfectly okay to be open with your person. Remember that you have asked me and shared with me the desires of your heart. You say you want love. Please don't be afraid. Let your guard down. Open your hearts. Receive it. Absolutely receive it. That is where we are today. Men, this one was for you. This one was for you. I believe in you. I believe that you can have any and everything that you want. And we as women, we are going to do a better job at listening to understand instead of listening to respond. We are going to do a better job of creating a safe space for you and supporting you when you need support. Again, men, I am saying you can still be all of those things that you think the world wants you to be outside. But when you come home, be you. Be the version that you want your person to see. It's okay to do that. It is perfectly okay to be open and show your true self. Continue to build that bond with your person. and you will be surprised at the beauty that will come in that relationship and the manner in which that love will grow. Now, I challenge you to do that. I challenge you, men, because you came and you asked, so I delivered. I challenge you. And before I go, I need to do one quick spotlight. Body Butter Souffle, Black owned, smells absolutely wonderful. Makes your skin feel amazing. It's by Lynn Naturals. You can catch it by reaching out to me, and I can give you the information at drtammy70@gmail.com. And again, if you want my book, it is still available. Little brown skinned girl like me. Happy Friday again to you. Thank you for joining me. And men, let love win. Let love win. Much love.